My name's Kate. I'm the artistic director of ZooNation, and specifically on Some Like It Hip Hop, which we made in 2011. I co-wrote the story with Felix. I directed it, I wrote the lyrics, and I was one of 5 choreographers on it. The story of Some Like It Hip Hop is inspired by the story of Some Like It Hot, and it follows the same structural composition as Some Like It Hot. It's really about revolution, it's about love, it's about mistaken identity, it's about misogyny, and it's about the power of women.
The dance in Some Like It Hip Hop is we use a lot of different funk styles to tell the story, a lot of different street dance styles, as well as incorporating contemporary. So you get a really good understanding of high energy, fun, charismatic, dynamic movement that spans right away from the opening scene all the way to the final finale.
And I think it's also important to put those dance styles in the context of very iconic duos that we see throughout the years, the Laurel and Hardys, the Nicholas brothers. It's kind of got that very timeless imagery that you see all the time throughout many, many years. So if there's dance styles that you don't really recognize, then you'll understand the kind of format and the context.
No, your limits, you're just here to please me. You couldn't do what I do, so I make it look easy.
My design for Some Like It Hip Hop is a dystopian world that is on multi-levels. So it's a different world. There's signs on the set that say no women allowed. And so it became a very masculine set. And I think that's where the dystopian angle came in the meeting of wood meets steel and rusts and different corrugated irons. We wanted the women in it to look quite fragile in this great, big, monolithic world.
I was really interested in this idea of flipping gender roles and looking at the misogyny in hip-hop lyrics and in hip-hop culture sometimes that I felt really conflicted about. And so I had this real kind of internal battle with myself about a culture that I loved and something that I really disagreed with all at the same time, particularly also alongside misogyny, the homophobia. We wrote it and workshopped it around 2010, 2011. So that's when all the content was written. And since then, there's been the whole Me Too movement, and there's been a great moment of focus looking at the inequality between men and women, and particularly looking at the treatment of women in work situations. And actually in Some Like It Hip Hop, you've got a lot of stuff that's really predominantly based in an office environment where the men have the job and the women are secretaries. And that's the influence we took from Mad Men at the time. So the kind of gender politics of Some Like It Hip Hop is more relevant today than it was when we first wrote it.
I got my sister to help me along.
The music I made for Some Like It Hip Hop alongside a man called Cohen, who is my writing partner, is an eclectic mix of everything you find in hip-hop. So if you think about sample culture, anything and everything you can find on a record incorporated with a few beats here and there. Mainly, I'd say funk, soul, hip-hop. A lot of the people that you find from there, like Prince, Janet Jackson, to really old school funk from the 60s and 70s, to lots of modern hip-hop, like Tribe Called Quest, Arrested Development, that kind of conscious kind of hip-hop, but also incorporating maybe some folk, classical, indie, pop, but all thrown into this kind of hip-hop mix.
What I love most about Some Like It Hip Hop, I think, has to be the cast. I think that the diversity of the cast and the energy that we give, the professionalism, the very giving nature that we use to look after each other on stage is profound, and it's kind of really stuck with me and kind of is a benchmark for other productions that I go on to do. I'd hope that there would be a really warm feeling at seeing a community being represented on stage, and whether it's the dancers, the singers, the musicians, the lighting team. I'd hope people, young people especially, see themselves on stage, and it's a potential viable career that they can then go into.
The biggest challenge performing in Some Like It Hip Hop is the endurance, what it takes from you as a performer, because you just get into it so much, and we got through it, you know? So I think one of the hardest things for me, I think, is really going out there every night as any performer will tell you, and giving 110%. You know, that is really tough, but it is the role.
I think that when audiences come and see the show, we make a lot of our work for young people. It's for everyone, but I'm trying to engage with younger audiences and getting younger audiences into the theatre. So I hope that although it entertains them, and they might think, oh, I want to become a dancer, or oh, I want to write music, or whatever it is they get from it, and the entertainment value is there, I hope that it makes them think on a deeper level, that it's more than just entertainment. Some Like It Hip Hop is my favourite show. For me, it's that combination, like my background really is musical theatre, and it combines these two things that I've loved all my life, which is musical theatre and hip-hop culture, and it's a marriage between the two, I think. It's very slapstick at times, it's very silly at times, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it actually has a really serious message underneath it. And more than anything, I just loved the people. I really enjoyed going into that room with those people. It was a real pleasure, so I'll always be grateful for that.
I'm gonna make